on guard passing, so I want you to remember when we start anything new, it's going to feel a little bit overwhelming, like it's a lot. But what I've done over the past month studying for it is I've tried to break it down into concepts that you guys can work at a little bit at a time. Okay. So what I want to do today is I want to lay down the foundation about the things that we're looking to do as we're passing the guard, the steps that we need. I tried to outline a lot of it on the board. And of course, we're not going to go over it all at one time. We're going to go over pieces of it. But I want you guys to understand what we're going to do here. So I'm going to show you guys the skills that you need to be a good guard passer. We're going to go over the most high percentage guard passes. We're going to learn those a little bit at a time. And then the last step is going to be learning to combine our passes. So I've said it before. I'll say it probably almost every day when we're going over this. You have to be able to go left and right, and you have to be able to combine your passes. Those are things that you're not going to be able to pass them with guard at a high level if you don't have those things. Okay, so again, I'm going to go over this kind of quick, but don't get overwhelmed because we're going to slow down and we're going to take it piece by piece, but I just want to give you a broad overview at first. Okay, so the very first thing, and this is not always the case, but if he has any sort of connection on me, I have to break the connection first. So when I'm looking at grip breaking as I'm entering into his guard, I have to ask myself two questions. Number one, is his grip hindering me from creating an angle? And number two, is his grip taking me off balance? So if he has like a collar tie here, this is not good for me. So this is something I have to address. Okay, so if he has grips, a perfect example or a connection would be a De La Riva. And this is the first thing that we're gonna do. He has a good connection to me, so I have to respect both of these. Okay, so before I can think about passing his guard, I have to break these connections before I can do anything. Okay, if I start out and he doesn't have a connection to me, like if he's just in a supine guard, the first thing I'm thinking about is getting his feet pointing away from me. Okay, so as I'm coming in, I want to create some sort of angle that makes his feet start to point away from me. Okay, then there's this middle zone area, step number 3, is going to be a staging position. So we'll go over these again in more detail, but the concept of a staging position is I'm looking for micro advantages within a neutral position. So this is technically neutral, the guard is neutral. But if I start to get in here with these inside control pockets, I start to pin his knee, this is a better position for me than it is for him. So if I'm going against a really good high level guard player, if I can get into a staging position, he has to be immediately on the defense. So instead of him thinking about how he's gonna armbar me, triangle me, sweep me, he's sitting here trying to think, I can't let my guard get past. Okay, then the next step here is going to be to make their knees point away. So again, these aren't always in the exact same order. Different passes, it's going to look a different way. But if you think about any time I'm past his guard and I have control of his hips, I want his knees facing away from me. So a couple of examples, if I can get his knees, if I can push his knees, that's going to be best. So examples would be like a leg drag, I just point his knee away, or even a Toreando pass where I just come in like this. Or if you think about our double under pass, our over under pass, when we're getting to the hip line, we're making sure his knees are pointing away from us. Okay? So there's not a guard pass that's effective that his knees are facing into me. That's how he recovers his guard. Okay? So then the most important step, in my opinion, is killing the hip line. So I can do all these other steps, and if I get to the hip line and I don't respect the fact that he's going to viciously try to turn back into me, I'm going to do all that work for nothing. So a couple examples of this are if I'm in the leg drag here and I have the hip line, but if I don't chase his hips and I give up here, he's going to easily recover. So I can't rush too quickly to the head just because I'm past right here. I'm technically past his knees, but if I just rush straight to the head without controlling the hips first, he's going to get his legs back in. Okay, so a really good example of this is over-under pass. This is one of my favorite passes. Once I get here and I kick and I pass, I'm not going to go from this position directly to his head. I'm going to camp here for a minute because he's going to try to recover his guard. So the biggest mistake I can make is extend all that energy and not stick on the hips for as long as it takes and then move up to the body. Okay, and then of course the last step is going to be getting on the head. So once I control his hips, that's my green light to move up to the headline. I want his head and his shoulder pinned. For IBJJF, I have to have at least one shoulder pinned to the mat. So if he's up on this elbow right here, this is not a guard pass yet. Okay, so I have to focus on pinning his head and at least one shoulder. And we do that mostly with the cross face. I know that his knees want to come back this way if I'm on this side. So what I do is I use my cross face to force his head this way, which makes him a lot weaker. Because the human body does not like to be in different directions like this. Okay, so those are just a general overview of the main steps. Number one, if they have a good connection with us, we have to break the connection first. Okay. Number two, we're going to face the feet away from us. If he's in a seated guard, we have two options. I can still make his toes point away from me by creating my own angle, or I can pop him to a supine guard and then make his feet point away. Okay. Step number three is creating a tactical advantage within the neutral position. We're going to call those staging positions. And then number four is making his knees point away. And 5 and 6 kind of go together, but 5 is killing the hips, and 6 is moving up to the head and shoulder control. When I get to the hip, when I get to the knee line, like I told you guys with the Toriano, the leg drag, I can push his knees away. But if I'm going against a really good guard passer, I might have to incorporate moving myself around his knees. So an example of that would be a fold. So if I'm here, I'm trying to pass his guard, I can't make his knees point away from me. I can do things like staple and go around. Okay, so I'm not physically pushing his knees away from me, but his knees end up facing the opposite direction. Another example is a cartwheel pass. So if I'm here, his knees are heavily pointing towards me, I can't get him to move, jump to the other side. Okay, so again, those are just some broad concepts. What we're going to work first is just recognizing the connection that they have to us and breaking it. So one of the most common is going to be a De La Riva hook and also a foot in the hip. I can never accept that his foot's just going to be in my hip. This is pretty dangerous for me. Turn just a little bit. So first with a De La Riva hook, I'm going to make my knee point out. So I'm not really thinking too much about a deep De La Riva here where it's too far gone. I'm going to be in a good posture. My knee is just going to point outwards as I break the hook off of my thigh. So if you look at the angle here, my hips facing this way allows his foot to be here. The moment I can make my hips face this way, try to get the hook, he can't get the hook. The angle is just not there. Okay? And then another piece of the puzzle, even if he doesn't have a De La Riva, I still have to address this. I like to be in a good posture, C-grip at the foot, and then I'm going to kick and straddle. Okay? I like to put my head down so that my leg has more height. If my head's up like this, I can only kick back so far. Okay? So I'm just trying to clear my hip over his foot. I'm in a good posture here and straddle. So this is breaking the connection. So that's what we're going to work on first. So one more time, he's going to have a De La Riva hook and a foot post on my hip. So first, good posture. My hand, this one's on the foot, this one's on the knee. If I need to, I might even turn my knee in just a little bit and then pop it off. Okay, I have to have downward pressure on his knee or he'll put it right back. Okay, so pop it off, straddle. Okay, questions? I know that was a lot, but like I said, we're going to go over it piece by piece. Number one, recognize the connection and break the connection if it is affecting us. Okay, questions? All right, I'm through, guys. 1, 2.